there are two reasons why I am especially thankful. The first, as we all know, and as I learned since I was a child, that Polak, Węgier, dwa bratanki, idą sladki, idą sabli, idą składki. And forgive me for my pronunciation. Last night we had the opportunity, the sklanki, to drink wine. I hope, despite the geographical things, we won't have to fight together. But if we do, then we will stay on that sentence as long as we can. And the other thing is that 3 years ago, 2012, there was a program here, the Best Practice Conference, and then I heard first the talent program about the Dutch Federation, and then when we went home, together with the EEF, in the Brotherhood program, we could start this program implementing in Hungary. So last autumn, we had the first talent day. Our coaches and talent people went to see the program in the Netherlands on that talent day. So this is the first winter that our talents are doing that program, and thank you for organizing it, because this was the first input for me to start this program. Okay, so before going to the clubs, or the riding club system, if we can call this, in Hungary, I would like to talk shortly about the structure of our federation, because as I realized yesterday, especially the questions afterwards are related to this. So in Hungary, to compete, you need a license, because this is always a question, and to get a license, you have to be a member of a club, and the club is the member of the federation. So we don't have members personally, individually. We have club members, and the riders have to be a member of a club. Definition of club comes a little bit later. And so, of course, the General Assembly is the annual forum of the clubs where we make the decisions, but as yesterday was pointed out by Harold, the democratic system is very important, so we changed a lot in the last 4 years to make it even more democratic, our system, and we have the clubs that have riders in a certain disciplines. They make a general assembly for their discipline, so the decisions about the sport, the competition system, and even the license fee and things are decided there in their, let's say, discipline general assembly. And also each club that belongs to the county has his, every county has his regional federation. We have 20 counties, which is a little bit too much, and now we are on the way trying to organize a little bit more regional. Of course, there are some counties that are very strong, central Hungary, southeast Hungary, around Kecskemét, so there are some very strong counties which are actually alone quite active, and especially if you have the right persons there in the leadership. But there are some areas where the activity is very low, and for these counties it's more efficient if you have a region out of, let's say, 3 or 4 counties. But this is a process that's going on. Some counties like the idea, some counties don't. Some counties already use this regional system for, let's say, regional championships and not county championships. So this is the structure, and basically the individual competitors, members of the federation, are those that have a license in any of the discipline. Pony club, we don't have other members like pony club or riding club members. We have, as a federation, agreements and cooperations with other associations of
Master of disaster.
Okay.
Miklos.
Sorry. So with other other associations, we try to work closely together so we can lobby more efficiently to the government and so on and so on. The structure is quite like FEI, so we have the disciplines that FEI has. Para is not a strong, I would say, it's a very weak point of our federation, so we are trying to work a little bit harder on that, cooperating with other association that organizes in FOAT, where you have been a dressage competition and also para activity, but I would say that's the only activity. It's not our strongest leg. IT system is a very important part of in our federation's life, because all entries, licensing, coaching programs, financial controls are done through this IT system, and that made our life much easier, because we have competitions with thousands of starts on a weekend, and for the participants it's very important to know exactly what time they have to be there. Payments, then criteria for horses, who is qualified, everything can be organized with this working system. For example, in coaching questions also, junior riders have to have a coach, licensed by our federation's licensed, IGEQ licensed coach. From next year they have to be at least level 2. This year still goes with level 1. And if I make the license for my son, for example, then the coach has to co-sign it on the internet also, that yes, I am the coach for, so I take, it's a question of responsibility. I said that let's say this multi-level and democratic system is also important in controlling the so-called black competitions, because when we talk about license, the organizers also pay a small amount of around 20 euro for a competition for the federation, but this money, as the federation is one legal entity, but this money goes back to the regional or county federation. So the people, our judges, organizers, are interested controlling in the area let's say the black competitions, the low-level competitions. The limit is in short jumping 1 meter. So below 1 meter, it's out of our control, because the first licensing starts for riders we call it a start license. It's that level, which is an examination of theoretical and practical knowledge. And below that level, it's either pony club or kind of riding club activity. But if they organize competitions, something similar to show jumping or similar to driving, which is the other very strong and popular, and you can imagine on countryside, on a village day, driving around with carriages is quite popular. And so the local federations get the money, because of course if they make it official, then okay, they pay some small money, but we guarantee that there is a judge with the proper knowledge, there is medical care and everything, so we have a kind of a little bit of control on that. So that's that's working quite well. Licensing costs, so one license for a rider, depending on the discipline and on the level, because usually we have two levels, one let's call regional and one national level, and it's between, let's say, 50 and 100 euro. Okay, the bigger ones with more service, more competitions are a little bit more expensive. Eventing and the small disciplines are a little bit cheaper. And if you make, you are involved in two disciplines, then there is you take one license for show jumping, and for some 10 euro you can also start in eventing. And this is a financial question for the committee, for the disciplines, because as I said, the disciplines are part of the federation, so they are not independent entities with bank accounts. So all license money come in, and there is a 40-60 ratio of central costs, and the rest goes to the discipline, and then they decide in their General Assembly how they spend it on different programs. Of course, we pay for the horses, and the trainers and judges pay also license. In the trainers or coaches license, there is insurance incorporated, so the coaches are insured by the federation for their work. So I don't know what the expression is. Other insurances at the moment we couldn't arrange yet. We have made some tries, but we are not a very big federation. We have around 3,000 competing riders every year, and around 4,500 horses competing. In Hungary we have in total an estimated 80,000 horses, but we don't know exactly. I will talk about this a little bit later. Okay, so that was the structure, and then back to the original topic, the equestrian clubs, which we can look for different aspects. By definition, traditionally we call club where the sport is done. These are usually associations as a form. Riding, we have then the centers or riding schools, what we call, which can be from a small yard up to a big center or bigger riding center, because usually the clubs are not owners of any facilities typically. And then, which makes it a little bit even more complicated on the legal side, that it's in Hungarian, if I translate it sounds very weird, but it's a riding service provider, because there is a law which is regulating the activity of the riding service provider, which any commercial activity from making a Chico show up to giving lessons is under this law, and we have some problems with it. I will mention this later, because we have around exactly 497 clubs in the International Federation, and we have a voluntary register for the riding school or centers or whatever, and we have 560 places registered. Out of that, about 200 is registered also in the commercial authority, state authority. So about 500 clubs as members, about the same number, a little bit more, as registered riding schools or riding centers. But of course, in these riding facilities, you usually have combined activity, riding school, some sport, boarding, and also sometimes breeding. So as I mentioned, from a legal aspect, the sport law regulates how the member clubs have to be set up, and it has to be either a sport club under the association law, or it has to be a sport undertaker, sport enterprise, which means that it's registered with tax number, everything, and the main activity has to be the sport activity. So it's not like it was 3, 4, 5 years ago that any company, when I had a company producing plastic bags and my son was riding, then I as Plastic Hungary Limited was the member of the federation. So this is not possible anymore, so only sport undertakers or clubs can be our members. This is the sport law in Hungary. Which makes interesting, this year we changed or not changed, but improved our regulations in the federations, and we made, of course we had statutes, and the statutes is not as strict as in Norway, that you only have one model of statute, so it's very liberal, let's say. Of course, it's under the civil law, so you have some criteria you have to fulfill, that the court registers you as an association or club, but the statute is optional as you want. It's Hungarians like freedom, so freedom is quite important. We don't like too much regulation. That means that the riding school law is a different issue, as I mentioned, which originally was designed by the lawmakers in the ministries as a regulation for touristic activity, because earlier, 20 years ago, or during the socialist time, we didn't own private horses. Now the federation horses are basically private horses. Private people, no state or very little, some stud farms involved, but no state-owned members. And that time, owning a horse was for private people not typical, and the only, let's say, private activity was tourism. And 70s, 80s, it was very strong in Hungary with the cooperative, cheap horses, good prices, and it was quite well known. And that's why the regulatory bodies were always thinking about tourism, and the whole law was concentrating on that. For example, this is the law that is defining who can run such a riding school, which is good that the horses need, welfare issues are arranged there, zootechnical issues, passport needs are arranged there, animal health criteria are mentioned also, which is important. But, for example, the first version said that to run equine business, you have to be a horseback guide, which is a special degree that you get. You have to go to the horseback or horse touristic association, and you have to make an exam, which was weird because we have, let's say, the show jumpers or world champions of driving, and when they want to teach other athletes, they had to make this not very effective way a degree for horseback guide who is taking the lead in the forest for the touristic activity. So now our federation is working and has already achieved some things to a little bit diversificate and differentiate the activity. So there are touristic activities which belong to this federation, but there are sport activities, this belong to our federation. So for qualifications, we are the ones who can license and take the control, and of course a little bit lobbying activity. Then there is the other association with the therapeutic riding, so they control that area. So now this law slowly becomes more easy to follow. And what can we see in the activities? That in the, as I mentioned, the classical touristic riding is going down since decades, but the sport and leisure activities is growing quite continuously, even in the 2008, 9, and 10 more difficult times it was growing. We have new riding schools, partly with state or EU subsidy or support, which are often, because of the old legislation, often called touristic, but thanks God there's a lot of sport activities there. And finally, what our goals are as a federation in this equestrian club issue. First, to, as most of the speakers yesterday mentioned, try to incorporate more the leisure riders and other horseback activities, also not as a member because they are not going under the sport law, but with other associations. And it's also very important for lobbying towards the state. And also with in the last few years, the sport was supported quite a bit from government money with sport development funds. We can run our talent program funded also, but we would like to have the registered riding centers to employ more higher level educated coaches, trainers, and so, and those who fulfill this can get some support from our federation. That was my speech. I hope it was not too long. If there is any question, I'm here to answer. If not,
thank you very much, Miklos. Any question? Marching is supporting me. We have a microphone, Mr. Shevchik. Miklos, can I ask you to be here for a moment for the questions?
Yeah, if you could to take the, is it working?
this is
The translator?
Yeah, so yes.
On? I don't know what's it on. Channel 6? Okay. We will try.
Przypuszczam, że na Węgrzech jest podobnie jak w Polsce, że rząd, czyli właściwie Ministerstwo Sportu, ale generalnie rzecz biorąc rząd daje coroczne dotacje Federacji Jeździeckiej. Jakiego rzędu są to dotacje? Czy ma pan orientację?
Yes. So the government, as I mentioned, under the sport law, we belong to the system to the Ministry of Education. So there is a money coming, which is not too much. It's like 20,000 euro for the basic activities, because we are in Hungary. We are not so good in Olympic medals as other sports. So it goes under the Olympic committee, Hungarian Olympic Committee, and of course the basic amount is a little bit dependent on the medals that each sport can achieve. But there is another route, as I mentioned, for sport development, and for sport development yearly we can get around 80,000 euro, and we run out of this program. We support the disciplines, we support the talent programs and coaching. Last year we had a agreement with the Irish Federation. We did buy the level 1, level 2 textbooks and everything from the Irish Federation, and it matches very well with our IJEC coaching system. So now we have at least one complete book and text and workbook for coaches that go to this exam, which we didn't have before. So we had the exams, but we were not so strong providing the perfect material. So that was this is the so-called development money we get, but it is decided by every year. And then we get supports for major shows, so like driving world championship, CSI. So, but we have to apply every year. But for it's another story. But other sports have, which is a good model, but we couldn't get in this program, the bigger, typically team sports, soccer, basketball, handball, water polo, and the very traditional Hungarian sports have the possibility to get direct tax money from companies. So that means that a certain amount of the tax that the company is paying can be donated directly without going through the big budget to federations, but the federations have to spend this money on youth and development, so not typically the top sport, so to make a brighter basis for the sport. So these are the models what we have as state money in the system.
Jeszcze jedno pytanie. Federacja ma jakiś budżet. Mówię o sporcie wyczynowym. Mówmy tylko o sporcie wyczynowym. Wiadomo, że we wszystkich federacjach największa część tego budżetu idzie na skoki. Na Węgrzech bardzo popularne są zaprzęgi. Jaki procent, czy pan jest w stanie powiedzieć, jaki procent idzie corocznie na skoki, a ile na zaprzęgi na Węgrzech?
I am not totally up to date. I should be, but I am not. Show jumping makes about 50-60% of the whole activity in money. And also in competitions, over 60% is show jumping competitions. And driving is very different because it's a smaller group of people. Interestingly, there are some private centers which organize very high level up to international and world championship competitions, which we don't have in show jumping. In show jumping we have smaller competition centers, but at the moment we don't have like Somorin or Pezinok or this very or Wiener Neustadt, Ebresdorf in the surrounding countries. We have smaller, typically state-owned places which we try to improve, and we have a good cooperation with the government sport department, and now we will start this year, for example, improve the National Riding School in Budapest, because the only state activity we still have in the equestrian sport in Hungary is the national studs. We have 5 national studs, which often also organize competitions like Szilvásvárad in driving, Mezőhegyes show jumping driving, Bábolna endurance show jumping. So these are these locations which we can improve, because in the last 20 years, for some reason, the private money didn't produce good quality competition centers. The private money produced good quality riding centers, clubs, and so. But we were lack of good quality, good footing, good service competition centers. And 4 years ago, the National Riding School, which is in the center of Budapest, a very nice old 130 years old facility, was given to our federation by the government. So it's state-owned, but the hand of trustees. So our federation is responsible. We don't get any money for running it. Now we will get money for complete rebuild, but because it's very old and we want to improve it for a better standard. So that's the situation, if it answered the question.
Mr. Zajt.
Polish Federation has a mutual agreement between Czech Federation and Slovak Federation regarding starting competitors on the national licenses in those countries. Do you have such agreements with other countries?
Yes, we have. With the surrounding countries, we do the same. That then they don't have to buy a guest license when coming from Austria, Czech, typically the neighborhood countries. So it's the practice is that if there is a federation that wants it or we want it, usually we agree it. It's not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
No more questions. Thank you very much, Miklos, for a very interesting presentation.